This is a technique I use when I need to sand small parts. Uh, I take blue painter's tape and I cover a piece of plywood. This happens to be cut the same size as the sandpaper I'm going to use. And I put the painter's tape on the plywood. I make sure to smooth out all the wrinkles. I cover the entire piece of plywood with the blue painter's tape. I'll use this rapid fuse CA glue, and I apply a random pattern to the painter's tape. And I take my sheet of sandpaper and I lay it carefully on the plywood and line up all the edges and pat it down. I take a piece of plywood and put over it, and I add some weight. And the CA glue takes 30 seconds to set up, and I'll remove the weight, and it's ready to use. So here I'm sanding a piece of cypress, and you see as I start sanding, you can see the tracks from the CA glue. It still works, it still does a good job, even though the edges, you can see the edges lifting up. But it does do a great job of sanding a small part very easily and quickly. And you see I'm using random motions. I do a figure eight pattern, I do circles, I do back and forth, and all these different motions is to help clear the scratches, and so I don't have like long scratches in the wood. I have, it's just a random pattern, if you will. And you continue sanding this way until, finer and finer grits until you reach the smoothness of the wood that you're looking for. And it does a great job. It works good. And in this particular case, I had about 20 of these little plaques, little cypress plaques to sand. So I did it very quickly using this method. When I finish sanding, I'm happy with it. It's easy to remove the sandpaper. You just remove the painter's tape. So just peel it back, and it comes right off. And I can either put on another sheet of sandpaper, or replace that sheet with a new sheet. So it works quite well. Thank you. For this next technique, I will take use the same method. I'll put the blue painter's tape on the same piece of plywood and completely cover it. And this is for sanding multiple small parts. And what I have here is some coasters, and I want to carve the back of the coasters. So I'll put the blue tape on the front of each one. that's a little fiddly to tear that tape off, so I think I'm going to get a knife and trim it. So here I'm adding on some more blue tape, painter's tape, and I'm going to get my knife and I'll trim it off. Yep, there we go. Makes it a lot neater. So I'll continue that. I could put 4 coasters on this one board, so I'm going to continue putting the blue tape on here. I have them all done. Now we'll just glue them down using the same CA glue that I used before. Put a little bit on the back of each one. This trick really works good. Now, what I'm doing here, I'm putting the weight on the 2 with the glue to help hold them down till the glue sets. And I was concerned with this because it looks like the weight is on each end of the coaster, and the middles could be lifting up a little bit. So after I put the glue on this last piece, I'm going to put a weight on there. And I decided I didn't like the way that was looking, so and it may be too late. It may be already, these may be already glued since it's been more than 30 seconds. But anyway, I'm going to take the weights off and I'm going to put on a piece of wood and put the weights on top and let that wait for about a minute or so, and then remove the weights. So remove the weights, remove the board, and start sanding. Now that I've finished sanding, I'm going to remove the coasters from the piece of wood, and I tried first just lifting the tape, and they're pretty well stuck on there. So I'm going to get a putty knife and lift them off that way. And just, you can see they come right off with no problem. They're nice and clean. No marks or discoloration. So thank you for watching. It's been real and it's been nice, but most of all it's been real nice.